I'm Dr. Brian Thornburg, and I received a letter from a mom asking how to navigate vaccinations once their child graduates high school. I want to read the letter because it's very nuanced and she has very specific concerns, but these concerns are very applicable to most parents who have children graduating high school and have concerns about vaccines. Hi, my daughter will be graduating high school in May and wants to get a degree in nursing in college. As an Illinois resident, it is mandatory for kids to be vaccinated, so we did all the standard recommended vaccinations throughout her childhood, but did not have her vaccinated for HPV, flu, or COVID. I am terrified she will be required to get additional vaccines in order to get a degree in nursing and work in a medical setting. As a physician in the medical field, do you know if there's any way around this, such as an exemption letter or a way for her not to get any vaccinations? Thank you for your honesty, expertise, and time. This is a very difficult situation. Once you become an adult, you graduate high school, then you are electing to go to this school or that school or to work at this job or that job. And each state, each employer will have different requirements for terms of employment. And I'm not an attorney practicing in the healthcare field. I'm not an attorney practicing employment law. So I don't know the nuances, how that comes into effect, what employers can do, what schools can do. But my experience watching kids graduate high school and then move on to college is that it is a case-by-case situation. I had one family who had a child going to school in Colorado and a sibling here at the University of Florida. The Colorado school required the COVID vaccine. The parents did not want the child to receive the COVID vaccine. They could not obtain an exemption for their child not to receive the COVID vaccine, so they pulled the child out. That's what the family decided to do. The University of Florida did not have a requirement for the COVID vaccine. It is a case-by-case situation. Obviously, in those states that do not allow religious or philosophical exemptions, it's probably more difficult to get an exemption from the school directly. But I have to argue a little bit for the school. Not that it's correct, but you have to understand that the school is looking to have the school continue. And so the school has a right to put policies in place that will support the ongoing preservation of the school itself. For instance, in medical school and in nursing school, they send their students out to clinics for their rotations or out to hospitals for their rotations. And if one of those clinical settings believes that the school's students are transmitting vaccine preventable diseases to their patients, then that institution, that hospital or that clinic now has a legal issue because they're letting students in who are not vaccinated, and that could possibly be infecting their sick patients. So you can understand that the school or the medical school or the nursing school may not be interested in working with students who are not willing to take the vaccines. There has to be a whole cultural paradigm shift in order to open that door in a meaningful way, as opposed to that case-by-case approach that I have seen parents have to take. So I don't have a way to recommend an exemption. I don't see an avenue for that. Again, that depends on your state. As you look at your children, I believe now we'll have to include what vaccination requirements are needed to attend that school or that job as one of the criteria for you to create your short list for the school or the job that you want. And unfortunately, that's just where we are right now. And I wish it was different. I know that during COVID here at the hospital, they mandated the COVID vaccine. Those physicians who refused to take it were forced off the staff and could no longer practice medicine at the hospital. Here during COVID at the local hospital, physicians were forced off the medical staff if they refused to take the COVID vaccine. So this is a live, ongoing, real-time problem, not just for those that are looking to enter the medical field, but for those who are in the medical field, because the hospitals and the employers have a right, as it stands now, to mandate specific vaccines. And to highlight how this problem continues even after your training, even after you leave school, is that during COVID time, our hospital would force physicians off the faculty if they did not take the COVID vaccine. So the problem is very real. It is ongoing. And this is unfortunate, especially as the national conversation is starting to highlight how much of the vaccine science is actually not there. So it's putting people into very difficult positions, knowing on one hand that this could possibly be damaging, and on the other hand, I need to work. We're in a time where we have to make principled decisions. Once you get through your schooling, you can find an employer like myself who does not require these vaccines. That's just the give and take of the real world. And I feel for you. As I said, I feel for these high school students that are graduating and having to look at taking vaccines as a requirement for that school. But that's part of the real life adult decision, adulting that we have to do. Thanks a lot for watching.